Dr. Hyunwoo Park wiped sweat from his forehead as he walked deeper into the crystal caves. The air was thick and hot on the dead planet of Vorth Prime. His boots made soft sounds on the smooth floor as he moved his flashlight around the walls. Strange blue crystals grew everywhere, reaching up like frozen fingers toward the cave ceiling. "Are you getting this on camera?" Hyunwoo asked into his radio. His voice echoed in the empty space. "Yes, Dr. Park. Everything is being recorded," came the reply from his assistant back at the ship. "The crystals look amazing. How old do you think they are?" Hyunwoo stopped walking and looked at one of the larger crystals. It was taller than him and glowed with a soft light. Based on the planet's age, these could be millions of years old, maybe older. He reached out carefully and touched the crystal surface. It was warm and smooth like glass. The planet Vorth Prime had been dead for a very long time. No one lived here anymore. The Vorthan people who once called this place home had disappeared long before humans ever left Earth. But they had left things behind, important things that told stories about the galaxy's past. Hyunwoo was here to find those stories. He was a xenoarchaeologist, which meant he studied the old things that alien races had left behind. It was his job to dig up the past and try to understand what happened to civilizations that were gone forever. As he walked deeper into the cave, his scanner began to beep faster. Something was ahead, something big. The crystals around him grew brighter as he moved forward, as if they were waking up after a long sleep. "Dr. Park," his radio crackled. "Captain Kim wants to talk to you." Hyunwoo pressed the button on his radio. "I'm here, Captain." Captain So Young. Kim's voice came through clearly. "How are things going down there? Find anything interesting yet?" "The crystals are responding to my presence somehow. They're getting brighter as I go deeper." "I think I'm close to finding something important." "Be careful, Doctor. We still don't know much about Vorthan technology. Don't touch anything that looks dangerous." "Understood, Captain." Hyunwoo continued walking until he reached a large open space. The ceiling was so high that his flashlight couldn't reach it, but he didn't need the flashlight anymore. The crystals here were bright enough to light up the whole area, and in the center of the space was something that made him stop, breathing for a moment. It was a perfect sphere made of the same crystal material as the walls, but this one was different. Inside the sphere, lights moved like tiny stars. They swirled and danced in patterns that looked almost like, "It's a star map," Hyunwoo whispered. He walked closer to the sphere. The lights inside became clearer. They were definitely stars, and they were arranged exactly like the real galaxy. But this map was incredibly detailed, more detailed than any star map humans had ever made. "Dr. Park, what did you say?" Captain Kim's voice came through his radio. "Captain, you need to see this. I found a star map, but it's not like anything we've ever seen before. It shows the whole galaxy. That's impossible. No ancient race had that kind of knowledge." Hyunwoo walked around the sphere, studying it from all angles. "Captain, this map shows star systems that we haven't even discovered yet. Look, I'm sending you the video feed now." Back on the research ship Endeavor, Captain Kim watched her screen with growing amazement. The star map was beautiful and perfect. Every star was in exactly the right place. Every planet was marked with tiny symbols that must have meant something to the Vorthans. "How old is this thing?" she asked. "Based on the crystal formation around it, I'd say at least 5 million years. Maybe 10 million. But that's impossible. 5 million years ago, most of the galaxy was empty. There were no space traveling. Civilizations." Dr. Min-Ho Lee, who had been watching quietly from the science station, spoke up. "Captain, if this map is real, it changes everything we know about galactic history." Hyunwoo continued to study the sphere. The more he looked at it, the more amazing it became. The map didn't just show stars. It showed which planets had life on them. Small green dots marked worlds with living things. Blue dots showed worlds with intelligent life. and red dots showed worlds that had been home to space-traveling civilizations. There are thousands of marked worlds, Hyunwoo said. Thousands of civilizations that existed millions of years ago. Can you identify any of the systems? Captain Kim asked. Hyunwoo looked for familiar star patterns. It took him a few minutes, but then he found something he recognized. Yes, there's the Centauri system, and over there is Vega. The map is definitely showing our galaxy. He continued searching for more familiar systems. Slowly, he worked his way toward the section that should show Earth's solar system. The Sol system should be easy to find. It was in a distinctive part of the galaxy, surrounded by stars that humans knew very well. But when Hyunwoo found the right area, he froze. "Captain," he said slowly, "there's something wrong with the map." "What do you mean?" "I found our solar system. The sun is here, marked with a yellow dot. But what, Doctor?" "Earth isn't on the map. There's a space where Earth should be, but it's empty, like someone deliberately left it out." The radio was quiet for a long moment. Then Captain Kim spoke. "Are you sure? Maybe Earth just wasn't important enough to mark." "No, Captain. Every other planet in our solar system is here. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all of them. But Earth is missing, and it's not like they forgot to mark it. There's a clear, empty space where it should be." Dr. Lee leaned forward at his station. "Could the map be damaged in that spot?" Hyunwoo examined the area more closely. "No damage. The crystal is perfect here. The empty space looks intentional." As he studied the missing spot more carefully, Hyunwoo noticed something else. Around the empty space were tiny symbols he hadn't seen anywhere else on the map. They were different from the symbols that marked other worlds. These symbols looked like warnings. "Captain, there are symbols around the empty space. They're different from the rest of the map. I'm going to try to record them for translation. Be very careful, Doctor. Don't do anything that might damage the artifact." Hyunwoo took detailed pictures of the symbols. There were 12 of them, arranged in a circle around the spot where Earth should have been. Each symbol was complex, made up of flowing lines that seemed to move when he looked at them. As he took the last picture, something strange happened. The sphere began to pulse with a brighter light. The stars inside started moving faster, swirling around the empty space where Earth should be. "Dr. Park, the readings are changing," Dr. Lee called out. "The crystal is becoming more active." "I see it. The whole thing is lighting up." The pulsing light grew stronger and stronger. Then suddenly new images appeared inside the sphere. Not stars this time, but shapes that looked like buildings, cities, entire civilizations that existed millions of years ago. "Are you getting this?" Hyunwoo asked. "Every second of it," Captain Kim replied. "Doctor, I think you've activated some kind of historical record." The images kept changing. Hyunwoo saw ships flying between stars. He saw vast cities on alien worlds. He saw creatures that looked nothing like humans building amazing technologies, and then he saw something that made his blood run cold. In every image, no matter what civilization was being shown, there was always an empty space. A spot where something should have been, but wasn't. The same empty space that existed on the star map. "Captain," Hyunwoo said quietly, "it's not just the map. All of their historical records have the same empty space. Every civilization they show has deliberately left out the same thing." "What thing?" "Earth. They all knew about Earth, but they all chose not to record it." The sphere pulsed one more time, then slowly returned to its normal brightness. The historical images faded away, leaving only the star map. Hyunwoo stood in the crystal cave, staring at the ancient artifact. Millions of years ago, an advanced civilization had created a perfect map of the galaxy. They had marked every important world, every civilization, every planet with life, but they had deliberately left out Earth. The question was, why? What was so special about Earth that every ancient civilization decided to hide it from their records? What were they afraid of? And what did it mean for humanity that their world had been erased from galactic history before they even knew there was a galaxy to be erased from? 3 weeks after the discovery on Vorth Prime, the research ship Endeavour received a new crew member. Dr. Yoonji Choi was the best alien language expert in human space. She had spent 15 years learning how to read the writing systems of dead civilizations. Captain Kim met her at the landing bay. "Dr. Choi, thank you for coming so quickly. We need your help with something very important." Yoonji was a small woman with sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything. She carried only one bag and a portable computer filled with language databases. "I read your preliminary report, Captain. The symbols around the empty space on the star map are unlike anything I've seen before. Dr. Park is waiting for you in the archaeology lab. He's been studying the symbols for weeks but can't make sense of them." Hyun-woo looked tired when Yoonji found him. He had been working day and night, trying to understand what the Vorthons had been trying to say. The lab was filled with pictures of the symbols, arranged and rearranged in different patterns on every wall. "Dr. Choi, I'm glad you're here," he said. "These symbols are driving me crazy. They don't match any known Vorthon writing. It's like they used a completely different language just for this one part of the map." Yoonji studied the symbols carefully. Each one was beautiful and complex, with flowing lines that seemed to tell a story. "Have you tried comparing them to other ancient languages?" "I've tried everything I can think of, but we only have samples from a few ancient civilizations. Maybe the Vorthans borrowed these symbols from someone else. That's an interesting idea. If these symbols are older than Vorthon civilization, they might be from the very first space-traveling species in the galaxy." As Yoonji worked on the symbols, Captain Kim received an urgent message from Earth. The Galactic Archaeological Council wanted to know more about the discovery. But when Kim sent them the full report, their response was strange. Dr. Park, Kim, called over the ship's communication system. "Can you come to the bridge? We need to talk." When Hyun-woo arrived, Kim showed him the message from Earth. "The Council says our findings are interesting but probably not significant. They think the missing Earth is just incomplete data." "That's impossible," Hyun-woo said. "The map is too perfect to have missing data, and the symbols prove that the empty space was intentional." "I know. But they're ordering us to move on to other research. They don't want us to waste more time on this." Dr. Lee looked up from his station. "Captain, I've been thinking about this. What if we're not the first ones to find something like this? What if there are other maps out there with the same missing piece?" Kim turned to him. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what if Earth is missing from other ancient records too? We should check archives from other civilizations. That would take months of travel to different worlds." "Not necessarily. I have a friend who works at the Etherian archive on Kilo 7. If anyone has records of ancient star maps, it would be them." Captain Kim thought about it. The Council wanted them to stop their research, but something about this discovery felt too important to ignore. "Send a message to your friend. Ask if they have any ancient astronomical records." The reply came back 2 days later. Dr. Tae-min Yoon worked as an archaeologist on Kalo 7, the homeworld of the Etherian people. The Etherians were one of the oldest surviving species in the galaxy, and they kept very good records. "Captain Kim," Tae-min's message said, "your request is very interesting. We do have ancient star charts, but they are not usually shared with other species. However, if you think this is important, I can make an exception." Kim sent back a message explaining what they had found. She included pictures of the Vorthon star map and the strange symbols. Tae-min's next message was much more urgent. "Captain, you need to come to Kalo 7 immediately. What you found on Vorth Prime is not unique. We have the same thing here." The trip to Kilo 7 took 4 days. During the journey, Yunji made progress with the symbols. She discovered that they were written in layers, with multiple meanings hidden in each symbol. The Vorthons were trying to say something very important, she told the others. These aren't just warning symbols, they're like instructions, or maybe a plea. What kind of instructions? Captain Kim asked. I'm not completely sure yet, but some of the symbols mean things like hidden and protected and must not be found. It's like they were trying to hide something. When they reached Kalos 7, Taemin met them at the spaceport. He was tall and thin, with the blue-gray skin typical of Etherians. His eyes were larger than human eyes, and they seemed worried. Thank you for coming so quickly, he said. What I'm about to show you will change how you think about galactic history. He took them to the Great Archive, a massive crystal building that reached high into the cloudy sky of Kalos 7. Inside, millions of records were stored in crystalline memory banks. The Etherian people have kept records for over 3 million years, Taemin explained as they walked through the halls. We believe in preserving knowledge, even knowledge that might be dangerous. He led them to a restricted section of the archive. The walls here were covered with warning symbols in the Etherian language. This section contains our oldest records, things that were already ancient when my people first learned to travel between stars. Taemin stopped in front of a large crystal panel. When he touched it, the panel lit up with an image that made everyone gasp. It was another star map. This one was made by a completely different civilization, millions of years before the Vorthons, but it showed the exact same thing, a perfect map of the galaxy with Earth missing. How is this possible? Hyun-woo asked. It gets worse, Taemin said. He touched the panel again and another map appeared. Then another. Then another. Each map was from a different ancient civilization. Each one was separated by millions of years, but every single map had the same empty space where Earth should be. We have 17 different star maps in our archives, Taemin said. They span over 10 million years of galactic history. Every single one deliberately excludes your solar system. Captain Kim felt a chill run down her spine. That's impossible. These civilizations never met each other. They existed at completely different times. Exactly. Which means they each discovered something about your world independently, something that made them all decide to hide it from their records. Unji was studying the symbols around the empty spaces on each map. Taemin, do you have translations for any of these symbols? Some of them. The words are different in each language, but the meaning is always the same. The dangerous ones must stay hidden. Dr. Lee had been quiet during the tour, but now he spoke up. There's something else we need to consider. If these ancient civilizations knew about Earth, they might have had contact with early humans. What do you mean? Captain Kim asked. I mean, what if humans weren't always just on Earth? What if we were out in the galaxy millions of years ago, and something happened that made us forget? Taemin nodded slowly. That's what our oldest records suggest. They speak of a species that came from the world you call Earth, but they weren't like modern humans. What were they like? According to the records, they were different, more advanced, more dangerous. The records call them the children who devour and the ones who take everything. Hyun-woo felt his stomach drop. Are you saying that ancient humans were some kind of threat to other species? I'm saying that every advanced civilization in galactic history eventually met humans and decided that your species needed to be contained. Captain Kim's radio crackled. It was Dr. Lee calling from the ship. Captain, you need to get back here immediately. We're receiving reports from all over human space. What kind of reports? Other archaeological teams are finding the same thing. Missing Earth from ancient star maps. It's not just the Vorthans and Etherians. Every ancient civilization did this. How many reports? 17 so far. From 12 different worlds. Captain, this isn't a coincidence. This is a pattern that spans the entire galaxy. As they hurried back to the ship, Taemin gave them copies of the Etherian records. "Be careful with this information," he warned. "Some knowledge is dangerous. There might be a reason why these ancient civilizations tried to hide your world." "What kind of reason?" Kim asked. "The kind that could destroy the galaxy if the wrong people found out about it." Back on the Endeavor, the crew worked through the night studying the new information. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Every ancient civilization in the galaxy had encountered early humans and decided to erase all evidence of Earth from their records. But why? What had humans done millions of years ago that was so terrible that entire civilizations decided to hide them from history? And more importantly, what would happen now that modern humans were starting to remember their forgotten past? The galaxy suddenly felt much more dangerous than it had before. Communications officer Dong-hyun Kang had always been good with signals. He could find hidden messages in radio static and decode transmissions that other people thought were just noise. But what he found in the ancient star maps was something completely new. "Captain Kim," he called from his station. "I think there's something hidden in the frequency patterns of the crystal recordings." Captain Kim walked over to his workstation. The screen showed wave patterns that looked like music, but Dong-hyun knew they were something else entirely. When Dr. Park recorded the crystal sphere on Vorth Prime, the recording picked up more than just light. There were sound frequencies embedded in the crystal itself, very low frequencies that we almost missed. What kind of frequencies? At first, I thought it was just background noise. But when I compared the recordings from different ancient sites, I found the same pattern repeated everywhere. It's definitely artificial. Dr. Yoonji joined them at the station. She had been working day and night on the symbol translations and looked exhausted. "Show me the pattern." Dong-hyun played the sound file. It was too low for human ears to hear normally, but his computer made it audible. The sound was strange and rhythmic, like a heartbeat or a code. "How long does the pattern repeat?" Yoonji asked. "That's the interesting part. It's not just a simple repeat. The pattern is different each time, but it follows the same basic structure, like a language. A language hidden in sound frequencies. That's incredibly sophisticated." Captain Kim felt a growing sense of unease. "Can you decode it?" "I'm working on it." "But Captain, if this message is hidden in all the ancient crystal recordings, it means every civilization that made those star maps wanted to preserve this information secretly." Over the next few days, Dong-hyun worked with Yoonji to decode the hidden message. They discovered that the sound pattern was indeed a language, but unlike any they had seen before. It was mathematical and precise, designed to be understood by any intelligent species. When they finally cracked the code, the message was short but terrifying. The sleepers must not wake. The children must not remember. The warriors must remain forgotten. The message was repeated in 17 different ancient languages. Every civilization that had encountered early humans had left the same warning hidden in their most sacred records. "Warriors?" Captain Kim asked when they showed her the translation. "The message calls humans warriors?" "Not just warriors," Yoonji said. "The word they use is more specific. It means something like, those who conquer by becoming." "What does that mean?" "I'm not sure. But every language uses the same concept. Humans aren't just described as fighters. They're described as something that takes over other things." Dr. Park had been studying the historical records from Kilo 7, trying to understand what had happened to early humanity. "I think I'm starting to understand," he said. "The Etherian records don't just mention humans. They describe human behavior." "What kind of behavior?" "According to these records, early humans didn't just conquer other species. They absorbed them. They learned everything about their technology, their culture, even their biology, and then they somehow incorporated it into themselves." Security Chief Jae Sung had been listening to the discussion with growing concern. "Captain, if these records are accurate, We need to consider the security implications. What do you mean? I mean, what if this absorption ability isn't completely gone? What if it's still part of human genetics, just dormant? Captain Kim thought about this. It would explain why humans were so good at adapting to alien environments and learning alien technologies. Human colonists seemed to thrive everywhere they went, even on worlds that should have been hostile to Earth life. Oh, have you noticed anything unusual in our contact reports with other species? Actually, yes. I was going to mention this earlier, but it seemed unimportant at the time. Over the past 5 years, we've had several first contact situations where the alien species suddenly broke off communication and retreated. Retreated how? Complete withdrawal. They abandoned entire star systems rather than continue contact with human colonies. At the time, we assumed they were just cautious about meeting a new species. But now I'm wondering if they recognized something about us, something that scared them enough to run away. Dr. Lee had been monitoring communications from other human research teams. Captain, I'm getting reports from archaeological sites across human space. Everyone who's been studying ancient records is finding the same pattern. The missing Earth? More than that. We're finding evidence that multiple ancient civilizations tried to contain human expansion. They built barriers, created quarantine zones, even destroyed entire star systems to stop humans from spreading. And it worked, apparently. According to the records, humans were somehow made to forget their own history and relocated to a single world. Earth became a prison designed to look like a paradise. The implications were staggering. Humanity had been one of the galaxy's dominant species millions of years ago, but other civilizations had managed to contain them and erase their memories. Earth wasn't humanity's birth world, it was their jail. But if we were contained, how? Did we break out? Captain Kim asked. We didn't break out, Dr. Park said quietly. We were released. What do you mean? The records suggest that the containment was only supposed to be temporary. The other species hoped that isolation would change human nature over time. They wanted us to evolve into something less dangerous. Did it work? I don't think so. I think we just learned to hide what we really are. As if to prove his point, reports began coming in from human colonies throughout the galaxy. Colonial administrators were describing sudden technological breakthroughs that they couldn't explain. Farmers were developing new crops that grew in previously impossible conditions. Engineers were solving problems that should have taken years of research. It's happening everywhere humans have contact with alien technology, Dr. Lee reported. The more exposure we have to other species, the faster these breakthroughs occur. Like we're absorbing their knowledge somehow, Captain Kim said. Exactly, Security Chief. O pulled up his military databases. Captain, I need to show you something. Over the past 10 years, human military units have consistently outperformed predictions in conflicts with other species, not because of better technology, but because of better tactics and adaptation. Show me. Look at the Centauri incident. Human forces were outnumbered 3-1 by the Rodarian pirates. But within hours of first contact, human commanders seemed to understand Rodarian battle tactics better than the Rodarians themselves. Maybe our commanders are just naturally good at strategy. That's what we thought. But look at this. O brought up another file. The Vegan trade negotiations. Human diplomats who had never met Vegans before somehow knew exactly how to approach them. They used cultural references and negotiation techniques that took our xenologists years to figure out. You're saying humans are unconsciously absorbing alien knowledge? I'm saying humans might be designed to absorb alien knowledge. It could be an automatic biological process that we're not even aware of. Dr. Yunji had been quiet during this discussion, but now she spoke up. There's something else. I've been analyzing the warning messages more carefully. They don't just talk about keeping humans contained. They talk about preventing humans from remembering. Remembering what? Their true nature. According to these records, the containment wasn't just physical. It was psychological. Humans were made to forget not just their history, but their instincts. What kind of instincts? The instinct to absorb and adapt. The instinct to take what they needed from other species. The records suggest that early humans didn't see other species as separate from themselves. They saw them as resources. The research ship fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Humanity wasn't just a naturally aggressive species. They were a species designed to consume and integrate other forms of life. "Captain," Communications Officer Kang said suddenly, "I'm picking up long-range transmissions. Multiple ships approaching human space." "How many ships?" "Lots of them. From different species. They're maintaining position just outside our territory, but they're not responding to our communication attempts." "Are they hostile?" "I don't think so. They're just watching. Like they're waiting for something." Captain Kim realized that the ancient warnings were becoming reality. Other species in the galaxy had been monitoring humanity, waiting to see if the containment would hold. Now that humans were rediscovering their true nature, those species were preparing for the worst. "Oh, what's the current status of all human colonies?" "Normal operations, Captain. But I'm starting to get reports of unusual behavior from some of the outer colonies." "What kind of behavior?" "Increased technological development, improved crop yields, better adaptation to hostile environments. And Captain, some colonists are reporting strange dreams." "Dreams about what?" "About flying between stars, about meeting other species and learning from them, about being something more than human." The ancient memories were starting to return. Humanity was beginning to remember what it used to be. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, other species were watching and preparing for the return of the galaxy's most dangerous predators. The Deep Space Monitoring Station at Alpha Centauri picked up the signals first. Commander Yujin Lim was drinking her morning coffee when the alarm system started screaming. "Contact! Multiple contacts!" Sensor Technician Hansol called out. Massive fleet formation approaching the outer edge of human space. Yujin set down her coffee and moved to the main display. What she saw made her blood run cold. Hundreds of ships were moving toward human territory, but they weren't attacking. They were positioning themselves in a perfect circle around all of human space. "How many ships?" she asked. "Over 3,000, Commander, from at least 12 different species." "Are they responding to our communications?" "No response to any frequency. They're just surrounding us." Yujin had been a military commander for 20 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The alien ships were maintaining exact positions, creating a sphere around human space that was millions of kilometers across. "Get me a channel to Earth Command immediately." Back on the research ship Endeavour, Captain Kim received the emergency transmission while Dr. Park was making his most disturbing discovery yet. "Captain," Park called from the archaeology lab, "you need to see this. I found something in the deepest Vorthan archives." Kim hurried to the lab where Park had projected new images from the crystal sphere. These images were different from the star maps. They showed scenes from ancient history, but the scenes were horrifying. "What am I looking at?" Kim asked. "Early humans, Captain. Or at least what humans used to be. The images showed humanoid figures, but they were wrong somehow. Their bodies seemed to shift and change as they moved. Sometimes they looked human, sometimes they looked like the aliens around them. According to the Vorthan records, early humans didn't have fixed biology. They could adapt their bodies to match whatever environment they were in. But it wasn't just adaptation." "What do you mean?" "They could copy the biological features of other species. If they encountered a species that could breathe underwater, humans would develop gills. If they met a species with natural armor, humans would grow their own armor. That's impossible. The records are very detailed, Captain. Humans weren't just learning from other species. They were becoming other species." The next image showed human settlements, but they looked like a mixture of different alien architectures. Human buildings that combined the designs of dozens of different civilizations. "They absorbed everything," Park continued. "Technology, culture, biology, even consciousness. The records suggest that humans could literally absorb the memories and knowledge of other species. How? I don't know. But according to these records, that's why humans were called the children who devour. They didn't destroy other civilizations. They absorbed them completely until there was nothing left. But humans who had taken on all the characteristics of their victims. Dr. Lee's voice came over the ship's communication system. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. You need to see this. In the command center, they watched as Admiral Chen briefed them on the situation. Every human colony is now surrounded by alien fleets. They're not attacking, but they're not leaving either. We think they're waiting for something. Waiting for what? Kim asked. We don't know. But we've been receiving scattered reports from our colonies. Strange things are happening to human populations. What kind of strange things? Rapid adaptation to local environments, technological breakthroughs that shouldn't be possible, and physical changes. Physical changes? On Colony 7, some humans have developed resistance to the toxic atmosphere. On Mining Station Beta, workers have grown thicker skin to protect against radiation. It's like their bodies are adapting in real time. Dr. Park felt sick. It's starting again. The absorption process is reactivating. What absorption process? Admiral Chen asked. The reason humans were contained in the first place. We're beginning to absorb characteristics from our environment and from other species we encounter. Is that why the alien fleets are surrounding us? I think they're trying to contain us again, but this time, they might not succeed. Commander, Yujin watched the alien fleets from her monitoring station. The ships had been in position for 3 days now, and their behavior was becoming clearer. They're not preparing to attack, she told her staff. They're preparing to run. Run from what? From us. The formation they're in isn't an attack formation, it's a defensive perimeter. They're watching to see if containment is still possible. Her communications officer looked confused. Containment of what? Of whatever humans are becoming. The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Nam Ji-won was a theoretical physicist on Earth who had been studying the genetic changes occurring in human colonies. She had discovered something that terrified her. The genetic modifications aren't random, she reported to Earth Command. They're following specific patterns. Patterns that suggest humans are unconsciously adapting to become a perfect spacefaring species. What do you mean? Admiral Chen asked. I mean, humans are evolving in real time to become exactly what they need to be to survive and thrive in any environment. But more than that, they're developing the ability to interface directly with alien technology. Interface how? Biologically. Some colonists are growing neural structures that allow them to connect directly with alien computer systems. Others are developing sensory organs that can detect alien communication frequencies. That's impossible. It's happening right now, and Admiral, the changes are accelerating. Captain Kim realized the implications immediately. If humans can interface with alien technology, they can absorb alien knowledge directly. Exactly. And if they can absorb alien knowledge, they can absorb alien consciousness, which means they can become alien species while remaining human. The pattern was becoming clear. Humans weren't just adapting to their environments. They were preparing to absorb everything they encountered, just like their ancestors had done millions of years ago. On Colony 12, farmer Wu Jin discovered that he could communicate with the local plant life. Not just understand it, but actually share consciousness with it. Within weeks, his crops were producing 3 times their normal yield. On Mining Station Gamma, engineer Subin found that she could interface directly with the alien-built mining equipment. She didn't need to learn how to operate it. She could simply touch it and understand everything about how it worked. On Trade Station 5, diplomat Hai Wan realized that she could sense the emotional states of alien traders, not just read their body language, but actually feel what they were feeling. The changes were happening everywhere humans encountered alien influence, and they were spreading. "Captain," Dr. Lee reported, "I'm getting readings that suggest the genetic changes are being transmitted between humans." "Transmitted how?" "We're not sure. But when a human develops a new adaptation, other humans in their area begin developing similar adaptations within days. Like a virus? Like a shared consciousness. It's as if all humans are connected on some level, sharing their evolutionary improvements with each other." Security Chief O had been monitoring military communications from around human space. "Captain, we're starting to receive reports from alien species that have had contact with humans." "What kind of reports?" "They're saying that humans are changing, becoming something else. Some species are reporting that humans they've met seem to know things about their cultures that they never taught them." "Absorbed knowledge?" "It looks that way. And Captain, some species are reporting that after prolonged contact with humans, their own people start developing human-like characteristics. The absorption works both ways?" "It appears so. Humans aren't just taking on alien traits. They're somehow spreading human traits to aliens." The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just evolving to absorb other species. They were evolving to convert other species into humans. "That's why the aliens are surrounding us," Captain Kim realized. "They're not trying to contain a threat. They're trying to contain a plague. A plague of humanity," Dr. Park agreed. "Just like millions of years ago." Commander Yu-jin received a new communication from the alien fleets. It wasn't directed at her station specifically. It was a broad transmission sent to all of human space. "Attention, humans," the message said in perfect English. "We are the Galactic Preservation Council. Your species has begun to revert to its original nature. For the safety of all intelligent life, you must cease expansion immediately." Galactic Preservation Council. Yu-jin had never heard of such an organization. The message continued. "We have maintained watch over your species for 5 million years. We had hoped that isolation would change your nature. We were wrong. 5 million years of watching us? Your species represents an existential threat to all other life in the galaxy. You do not destroy. You convert. You turn everything you touch into versions of yourself." Yu-jin realized that humanity had never been alone in the galaxy. They had always been watched, always been contained, always been feared. "We offer you one final chance," the message concluded. "Return to your home world voluntarily, and we will maintain the containment barriers. Continue your expansion, and we will be forced to take more direct action." Direct action? The answer came in the form of massive energy readings from the alien fleets. The message from the Galactic Preservation Council reached every human settlement at the same time. On Earth, in the Great Assembly Hall, President Da-Yoon Park stood before representatives from every human world. "The aliens are giving us a choice," she said. "Return to Earth and accept containment, or face destruction." But even as she spoke, reports were coming in from across human space that made the choice more complicated than anyone had imagined. On Colony 15, something unprecedented was happening. Engineer Kyung-ho had been working with a team of Centaurian refugees who had sought shelter on the human world. After 3 months of close cooperation, the Centaurians were no longer entirely Centaurian. "They're developing human characteristics," reported the colony's medical officer. "Increased adaptability, improved problem-solving abilities, and what appears to be enhanced learning capacity." But the changes weren't one-sided. Kyung-ho and his human colleagues had developed the Centaurians' natural ability to see electromagnetic fields and their enhanced memory recall. "We're not absorbing them," Kyung-ho reported to Earth. "We're merging with them." Dr. Park, still aboard the research ship Endeavour, was studying the latest reports from human colonies. "Captain, this changes everything. The ancient records were wrong about what humans do to other species." "Wrong how?" "They describe absorption as a destructive process. But what's happening now looks more like evolution. Evolution? Humans and aliens in contact with each other are becoming something new, something better than either species was alone. Captain Kim looked at the data streaming in from dozens of worlds. You're saying we're not converting aliens into humans? I'm saying we're all becoming something else entirely. A hybrid species that combines the best characteristics of both. On Trade Station 7, diplomat Sang Min was experiencing the change firsthand. He had been negotiating with a Vorthon delegation for weeks, and gradually he had begun to understand their crystalline thought patterns. But more than understand, he had begun to think like them. It's not uncomfortable, he reported. It's like expanding, like becoming more than I was before. The Vorthons were experiencing similar changes. Their rigid logical thinking was becoming more flexible, more creative. They were developing human intuition and emotional intelligence. We are becoming something new, the lead Vorthon negotiator said. Something that neither of our species has been before. Dr. Namji Won's research on Earth was revealing the biological mechanisms behind the changes. It's not a virus or a disease, she reported. It's a fundamental characteristic of human genetics. We're designed to share genetic information with other intelligent species. Share it how? Through close contact, humans emit genetic signals that encourage beneficial mutations in nearby organisms. At the same time, humans absorb genetic information from other species and integrate it into their own biology. So we're not conquering other species. We're trying to uplift them, to help them become better versions of themselves while we become better versions of ourselves. But the ancient records describe humans as dangerous because the ancient species didn't understand what was happening. They saw change as a threat instead of an opportunity. Commander Yu Jin was monitoring the alien fleets when something unexpected happened. Ships began breaking formation. "Commander," her sensor technician called out, "some of the alien ships are moving toward human colonies." "Attack formation?" "No, ma'am. They're requesting permission to land." "Land where?" "Everywhere. We're getting landing requests from ships representing 8 different species. They want to come to human worlds." "Why?" The answer came in a transmission from an Etherian vessel. "We have observed the changes occurring in our people who have had contact with humans. We request permission to study these changes more closely." Similar messages were coming from ships belonging to other species. The very aliens who had been part of the containment fleet were now asking to make contact with humanity. They want what we're offering, Captain Kim realized. They want to evolve too. But not all the alien species felt the same way. About half of the fleet maintained their positions, their weapons still charged and ready. "Attention human colonies," came another transmission from the remaining fleet. "The species that are breaking ranks do not speak for the Galactic Preservation Council. The containment protocols remain in effect." "What are the containment protocols?" President Park asked during an emergency assembly session. The answer came from an unexpected source. On Colony 3, a group of humans who had been in contact with alien refugees suddenly began experiencing shared visions. They were seeing memories that weren't their own. "We remember," reported the colony leader, Min Jung. "We remember what happened 5 million years ago." "What do you remember?" "The first containment. Humans were spreading across the galaxy, sharing our genetic gifts with other species, but some species were afraid of change. They formed an alliance to stop us." "How did they stop you?" "They didn't stop us. They convinced us to stop ourselves." The shared memory revealed the truth about humanity's past. Ancient humans hadn't been contained by force. They had agreed to containment voluntarily. Why would they do that? Because some of the species we were trying to help were destroyed in the process. Not by us, but by other aliens who feared the changes. We realized that our gifts were causing galactic war. So humans chose exile. We chose to hide until the galaxy was ready for us. Dr. Yunji, who had been studying the ancient warning messages, made a new discovery. "I was wrong about the translation," she announced. "The message isn't, 'The sleepers must not wake.' It's, 'The sleepers will wake when—'" "The time is right. The time is right for what?" "For the next stage of galactic evolution." Reports were coming in from across human space. Wherever humans and aliens were working together, both species were developing new abilities, enhanced intelligence, improved physical capabilities, and, most importantly, the ability to share consciousness directly. "We're becoming a galactic mind," Dr. Park realized, "a single intelligence made up of multiple species." "Is that what humans were always meant to do?" "I think it's what all intelligent life is meant to do eventually. Humans are just the catalyst." The alien fleets were facing a choice. Half of them wanted to join the evolutionary process. The other half wanted to stop it by destroying human civilization. President Park made the decision for humanity. "We won't return to Earth," she announced. "But we also won't force our gifts on anyone who doesn't want them." "What do you mean?" "Any species that wants to evolve with us is welcome. Any species that wants to remain unchanged can do so. We'll establish boundaries that protect both choices." The response from the galaxy was immediate. Some species sent representatives to human worlds to begin the merging process. Others retreated to the far edges of known space, determined to preserve their original nature. But the most surprising response came from the ancient Vorthan crystal archives. New messages began appearing in the crystals, messages that hadn't been there before. "The children have awakened," the messages said. "The time of hiding is over. The galaxy can finally become what it was always meant to be." Dr. Park made one final discovery in the deepest archives. Hidden beneath all the star maps and warning messages was something else. A complete map of the galaxy as it could be. Instead of thousands of separate species living on isolated worlds, the map showed a single, connected civilization spanning every star system. Not human, not alien, but something new that combined the best of all species. This was always the plan, Park realized. Humans weren't hidden to protect other species from us. We were hidden until other species were ready to join us. Ready for what? Ready to become something greater than any single species could be alone. The galaxy was changing. Some worlds chose to join the great merging, their populations becoming part of a growing hybrid civilization that was more creative, more intelligent, and more capable than any species had ever been alone. Other worlds chose isolation, forming their own communities in distant star systems where they could preserve their original nature. And in the space between, new worlds were being born. Worlds where different species lived together and evolved together, creating new forms of life that had never existed before. Captain Kim stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, watching as ships from dozens of species converged on human colonies. Not to attack, but to join something unprecedented in galactic history. "What do you think will happen next?" Dr. Park asked. "I think we're about to find out what the galaxy looks like when every species has the chance to become their best possible selves." The oldest star chart had been missing one world not because Earth was dangerous, but because Earth's time hadn't come yet. Now it had, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the crystalline archives of a dozen dead worlds, new entries appeared. They all said the same thing. "The children have remembered. The galaxy is finally whole. Humanity had found its place among the stars. Not as conquerors, not as destroyers, but as the key that unlocked the potential of every intelligent species in the galaxy. The age of separation was over. The age of unity had begun.